Good evening and welcome to the Collaborative Lens podcast. Thank you all for joining us. I am Casandra H. Jenkins and I help principals create systems that help them lead without frustration and ensure that their school is successful. My other co host, please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Dr. Angela Taylor Echols, founder of ATE Educational Consulting. We solve the problem of rapid teacher resignations by providing school leaders with disruptive strategies to help teachers want to stay in the field. Chantinique?
Hey everybody, I am Chantinique Langston, the founder of Reach to Teach Consulting. I help school and district leaders create emotionally healthy school cultures through human-centered leadership because thriving schools begin with leaders who lead people well without sacrificing their own well-being.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for introducing yourselves, ladies. This evening, we will be talking about leadership systems, not your superpowers. And the discussion today is centered around schools creating systems that help them build lasting success in their leadership. Today's question is, why do some schools run like clockwork even on their hardest days, while others fall apart the very moment that that one significant person is absent from school? Today, we're talking about the difference between leading with your presence and leading with systems that you have created. So, as usual, we start with the research. So, we're no different today. We will talk about the research and then move into the discussion. Researchers at Johns Hopkins University ran a 5-year randomized controlled trial across 37 different elementary schools. They wanted to test what happens when schools adopt clear school-wide systems and procedures for behavior. They wanted to assess what happens when expectations are shared, consistent routines are given, and a common process for every adult to follow is in place. The results showed that students in schools where systems were in place were 33% less likely to receive an office referral for discipline than schools that did not have systems. Same kids, same neighborhoods. The difference was the system, not the person working the system. Now, some of you may be familiar with this process because it's called behavior interventions, also known as PBIS. So several schools across the US use this process. However, the research showed that when systems are in place for student behavior, 33% of the time, schools are more successful. So that leads us to our scenario for today. It's 7:52 a.m. at a mid-sized elementary school. The principal is doing what she does every single morning, standing at the front door, greeting every student by name, her radio in hand, and she's ready to solve whatever problems comes her way. She's everywhere. She's on bus duty, she's in the cafeteria, that one classroom where the teacher always needs assistance. She's put out 3 small fires by 8:15 a.m. So the principal is doing all the things. But the issue is that's not a system. It's the principal being everywhere, doing everything for everybody. So when the principal is out of school for a 3-day conference, the front office is in chaos, the front hallway is in chaos, 2 classes show up late because they haven't adjusted their schedule, a parent pickup mix up happens, And then the sub coordinator doesn't know where to go and who to place in the right place for transitions. All because there was never a routine or a system written down. Everything was done by the principal. By the time the principal gets back, two students have been sent home for behavior, um, which could have been solved easily if a classroom system was in place. And a first year teacher had to guess about consequences all week because there was no shared procedure to follow. None of this shows up as a crisis, but it is. It's a silent one. It quietly costs kids instructional time week after week until someone finally decides to create a process or a system that's written down for everyone to follow. This scenario gives you the gap between a great leader and a leadership system. A great leader, one depends on the person in the building, but the other, the system, it operates whether that person is present at the time or not. So now we're going to ask our co-host to share. Dr. Angela, I'm going to ask you to share first your thoughts about our scenario.
Okay, that scenario had a lot in it. And unfortunately, that scenario is what a lot of new principals experience, and sometimes even principals who have been principals for a while. Try to do it all. And
Yes.
you can't do it all, or you will burn yourself out. And some portions of that scenario I saw myself in.
Yes.
When I first became a principal, I tried to do everything. I was at bus duty. I was at the front door. I was greeting parents. I was putting out fires. I was doing every single thing. And I was tired until I realized that I had to create systems. I had to bring other people on board so that we as a leadership team could develop systems. So now, if I'm out, everyone knows what to do as far as dismissal, as far as entrance, as far as if there is a discipline problem. And from a school culture and teacher retention perspective, leading with systems means creating clear, dependable ways of working so teachers do not have to rely on guesswork. If the school leader is out, the systems are still in place so the school can flow and teachers won't just have to guess what to do. And also, from a school culture and teacher retention lens, leading with systems means making support predictable. Teachers should not have to wonder what happens when I ask for help. They already know there's a system. If you send me an email, I'm going to respond within 24 hours.
Right.
If there is a matter of urgency, if there's a problem with the student behavior, I am going to, if it's not me, maybe I have a behavior specialist on staff. If
Right.
students get in trouble, maybe we'll have a system in the school where students with misbehaviors are getting an intervention, just like your research with PBIS. So
Right.
predictable support means teachers should not be concerned with, will this be handled?
Yeah.
Or does the process change depending on who the teacher is? Because we know, unfortunately,
Absolutely.
some schools have favoritism. So all of
Yes.
this is from a teacher retention and school culture perspective. And then a
Absolutely.
healthy systems give teachers clarity, consistency, and confidence. But we must remember that every system creates an experience. A system
Yeah.
can make teachers feel supported and valued and controlled and heard. What do you think, Chantinique?
Absolutely.
You both said a lot already in 10 minutes into the
Yes.
segment. But before I do that, I just want to shout out to people who are with us tonight. Hi, Miss Williams. Hi, Miss Taylor and Mr. Echoes. Good to see y'all tonight. Um, and this is a great topic because as a teacher, you guys know I'm a teacher first.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
so just like students need structure, adults need structure.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And especially when the leader steps out of the
Yes.
building. And like I've always said, even with my, at my school, I will always say that one band, one sound. No one should know who the principal is if we all are on one accord.
Mhm.
And I will
Absolutely.
say, and I'm jumping a little bit, but your leadership systems should complement the culture, not
Hmm.
the other way around, because the buy-in is
Absolutely.
really, the culture is what sets the tone of the building, but the leader system or leadership systems should definitely um, complement what you've already
Hmm.
created with the culture, because the culture trusts you. So from my lens as a teacher, well, as a teacher and also as a business owner, I have
Hmm.
to think about the consistency that I bring. So, as a principal, as a dean, I want you to examine your own consistency in your leadership. And oftentimes we
Right.
don't want to look at that self reflection, but that's the key before we even set out the task for the people behind us, in front of us to lead with, right? We have to make sure that the whatever task it is, we got to make sure it's measurable, specific, measurable, achievable,
Hmm.
Right.
realistic, using
Yeah.
that SMART system. And
Yes.
so I don't want to go into Dr. Cassandra's lens, but I want to just mention that
Absolutely.
before we can even talk about leadership, we gotta, or the task itself, we gotta look at, wait a minute, let's use the SMART system, because if I use the SMART system, now I'm about to lower my what? Anxiety, my
Mhm.
stress level,
Absolutely.
so that I'm able to delegate, what needs to be taken, what needs to be done efficiently and effectively, so that it's not complex. I don't believe that system should be complex. Okay, the district
Absolutely.
office, God bless y'all, what you guys do. But if you have mandates that you want your districts to, achieve, you have to make sure that those goals are smart driven,
Yes.
and you are considering your leaders in mind.
Yeah.
So going, because again, we're here tonight to really help the principals, help our
Hmm.
deans, help them navigate, and their feelings matter. So if you are in a district level and you're watching this, I want you to really take note on how you can show up for your principals and for the other counselors and deans that are a part of your district. I had to go there tonight because I've been dealing with districts all week, and they there's a disconnect when it comes to self-regulation and how it affects the principles in its entirety. Um, so, principles, I want you to think about what emotions come up when you have to carry out a task.
Absolutely.
I
Hmm.
want you to think about that. What come up? Because again, we often put our needs, our emotions place, impulsive place, and it's not sound. We don't feel good about it. We're cringing,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And sometimes it can cause unnecessary stress and maybe a stroke or a heart attack. Dr. Angela can talk about
Oh
teachers
yes.
have,
Yeah.
have passed away and been in the
Hmm.
hospital because of said mandates that are not being specific or measurable.
Yes.
So
Hmm.
am I using wisdom when I'm
Hmm.
approaching the right way to allow systems to flourish?
Absolutely.
Am I using that wisdom? And we don't use wisdom in the school setting, but here we
Mhm.
go. We're talking about it, all right?
Right.
Um,
Okay. Hmm.
put yourself, and I said this too in a meeting in the past, put yourself in the shoes of the dean, the teacher, the
Yes.
interventionist,
Hmm.
district office. Put yourself in the shoes of a principal when you were once a principal. So when you were once a AP or a dean, put yourself back in those shoes, and then ask yourself, are you good at modeling what a leadership system looks like? You know, you can't teach, you can't model anything you're not willing to follow yourself.
Absolutely.
You gotta model that. Like you try
Yes.
it out first. Just like when you're in a classroom, I'm gonna move on and let you take over this. But when you are a
No,
teacher,
go right ahead.
um, you have to find out what works for students who are looking to meet grade level expectation, correct?
Yes.
So, with that being said, you got to do the same thing. You got to do a little test to see what works. Before you put out, all right, let me get with the deans, let me get with the counselors, let's talk about X, Y, and Z, because you tried it out first. You got to be your first, advocate and embody that. And then when you embody what you're looking for, guess what? Now the team trusts you because, okay, she know what she's talking about. He know what he's talking about because you actually tried it out for yourself to see if you can achieve it. But I really believe it's important to know how you feel before you make decisions that's going to affect your team as a whole. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So rich, ladies. Thank you so much for sharing your information as it relates to your lens. It's important for us to understand that, we have to have a system in place that, as Dr. Angela said, does not show favoritism and does not make your decision skewed in one direction or the other. If the system is foolproof, then everybody can follow the system without favoritism showing up or any issues that will cause even more concerns. And as Chantinique said, if you are intentional about creating your systems and making sure that you're thoughtful, you have thought about the SMART goals that you need to create in order to make sure that you're just not doing things, but you're creating a system that is necessary, first of all. And then once you decide that it's necessary, you have put in place the steps to ensure that the system is followed through without any issue and with fidelity. So
Yes.
that, I'm
And
sorry,
I
Angela,
wanted to
go
say
right ahead.
something real quick before we move on to the next
Uh-huh,
topic, because this
uh-huh,
is so rich.
mhm.
How do we uh, operate from a systems perspective as opposed to uh, our own perspective? And I just
Absolutely.
wanted to talk
Mhm.
about when a teacher brings a problem to an administrator, we need to reflect and ask 3 questions.
Yes.
Where are we losing time?
Mhm. Yes.
Where are expectations unclear? And what
Mhm.
repeatedly causes frustration?
Absolutely.
And so looking within immediately removes any kind of defense or offense, but acknowledging how teachers feel. Where are we losing time? Where are
Mhm.
expectations unclear? And what repeatedly causes frustration? Then invite the teachers to help design a simple, repeatable process that addresses the issue. When we do
Absolutely.
that, we will
Mhm.
retain our teachers because now they're on board with the solution.
Yes.
They're on
Yes.
board with, okay, let's have a system in place. Every time something happens, this is what we do. We ask
Mhm.
those 3 questions, we invite the teachers to be on board, and we will have systems that retain teachers. I just wanted to say that before you went on to the next portion, Cassandra.
Absolutely, that is correct. That leads right into what I'm going to say next because we're going to talk about the definition of what a system is. And that's literally what you just described, Dr. Angela.
Mhm.
A leadership system is a repeatable process that produces a consistent result, regardless of who's running the process and procedures at any given day or any given time. Now, why does this matter? It matters because it's the difference between asking the principal or asking the secretary or asking the cafeteria manager or asking the lead custodian what to do in a particular process. For example, how does car pickup work? If the process is already laid out and it's clear to everyone on campus what to do when this situation arises, then It eliminates having to have the presence of a specific person,
Mm-hmm.
and it gives everyone easy steps to follow through with. So when you create a system, you're not only helping yourself as the leader in the building, but you're helping everyone else to know what to do and how to do it when a situation arises. And that's my passion about principals knowing what systems are, how to create systems, what situations are recurring over and over that require a system to be developed, and then operating from there.
Yes.
The thing about systems, a few talking points about systems, is that it turns one's good judgment into everybody's shared practice. So when the principal has good judgment about what needs to take place, and good judgment doesn't happen without good thought, without thinking about what
Mm-hmm.
processes as the school leader do I need to have in place, and how do I need to communicate it? Because sometimes school leaders create processes and they put it on the shelf, or they leave it in their file folder and do not share it with the masses.
Yes.
So you have to make sure you communicate, communicate, communicate to ensure that everyone is aware, so that everyone can follow whatever the system is that you've created.
Cassandra, I don't mean to cut you off, but you said
Go right
something
ahead.
very powerful.
Go right ahead. Answer your
Sometimes principals create systems
yes.
and they put it on the shelf or they
Yes.
put it in an email.
Yes.
And a principal may send an email of a system that they created and send it one time and expect
Yes.
people to know how to do it. And
Yes.
then teacher A is asking teacher B,
Yep.
Yes.
what are we doing?
We in the
So
group chat. We're talking about you in the group chat.
Right. New teacher is asking a seasoned teacher, okay, now what is the system?
yes.
So, I think one of our other episodes we talked about sometimes you have to do something 21 times.
Yes.
You have to do it
Yes.
over and over and over again
Yes.
until it becomes a habit. And
You
so, if
do.
we created a system in our school, as a school, as a principal, as a leadership team, let's do it
Mhm.
21 times.
Yes.
Let's have
Yes.
teachers say it. Let's have teachers do it. Let's have teachers write it.
And
Once they
don't
do
just
all of that, it's a system. Go ahead.
and don't just send it in an email. Talk
Right.
to your staff about it.
Mm-hmm.
Please.
Give them an opportunity to ask questions about the process.
Yes.
Also, give them an opportunity to add to or take from the
That
process,
part.
because
Yes.
oftentimes they make it better.
Mhm.
When you say, listen, I've been thinking about this process and these are my thoughts. Let's have a group think about how we could carry this out. This is the problem. This is what I think we should do, but I need to hear from you. I'm going to need you to help me follow through with this process. So I need your thoughts so that we're all clear and we're all
Yes.
okay. We're comfortable with the system that we created as a school campus.
Yes.
Together.
Yes. I want to piggyback off that because simplicity is genius. So a long time ago days, I used to work for Quick and Longs, shout out to Dan Gilbert. And so he had like, I think 8, I can't remember how many isms, but there were a few that stuck with me or has stayed with me all these years. And this one was simplicity is genius. And I've been using that in my brand, and I will use it in my classroom. And I will tell
Yes.
you as a principal, you do not have to know everything because you can simplify it by creating a trust system with your team, those that you
Yes.
trust to perform a job and do it well. So that means you may have
Yes.
to discern again. Now we have to go deep. The
Mhm.
wisdom, who
Yes.
can do what? It's important to know who you have in your building.
Yes.
District leaders, it's important for you to know your the capacity of your principals and to really show empathy and ask them what do they need, because they are walking around and they're not saying what they need.
Mhm.
Okay, and they're carrying that frustration, and
Yes.
you have to have discernment enough to know, okay, how can I better support my principals, emotional and their mental well-being, because it matters. Just like we talk about the kids and we
Yes.
talk about being trauma informed. What about our leaders?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Because they go through things too. And I know we're jumping, but a lot of that has to do with not having what? Proper leadership systems in place. And you have some of these
Absolutely.
schools, some of these charter schools just running rampant with
Mhm.
whatever because
Yes.
no one is holding themselves accountable at the top.
Right.
Absolutely.
So I'm gonna call you
Yes.
out because
Yes.
it's time for us to really talk about how can we really support the leaders because they need it. They may
Yes.
not say it, but we're here to advocate for you.
Oh,
All right,
yes.
we got your back. And
Mm-hmm.
so I would say that it's
Yes.
important
Yes.
to understand what am I currently doing that's working for or against my staff.
Yes.
Okay,
Mhm.
and what process is complex, but I can simplify it for my team. So those are some questions that
Yes.
you want to ask yourself. And I like that we're keeping the
Absolutely.
questions very
I
simple,
love it.
Right.
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
and well, I like I'm visual. So if I'm going to simplify something, I'm gonna have a little 1, 2, 3 on the side. So when something arises, I can refer right back to those
Yes.
questions
Yes.
because I'm
Mm-hmm.
not gonna be going crazy. Not in the school setting,
Mhm.
no.
Right.
So
Exactly.
as a principal,
Absolutely.
you gotta put your foot down on
Absolutely.
your feelings.
Mhm.
Like, you know what? Wait, I'm not gonna let this get the best of me. Hold on, let me regroup. You can
Mm-hmm.
regroup, and I tell my
Yes.
leaders all the time,
Yes.
like, Novus, are you okay? I check in with them because they have to deal with so much.
Mhm.
But it shouldn't take the
Yes.
teachers that have to always do it. Again, district level, come through.
Mhm. Mhm. Yes.
Yes.
We
Yes.
hear we
Yes.
hear that conversation. All right,
Yes.
but all right,
Yes.
sorry. Go ahead,
Oh no,
Angela.
you're good. You are
And,
good. I love it. I love it. You
And
were
this
about to
time,
go
say
ahead,
something, Dr.
girl.
Cassandra.
Angela?
Your lens.
Okay, okay. Yes. Now, the other thing about systems is it frees the leaders to lead people and not manage the chaos. The energy the principal pours into putting out fires, they could be using to coach teachers or create a culture that teachers are happy to exist in. So you want to create the systems that free you up to do the job that the principal is supposed to do, which is make sure that teaching and learning is taking place on a
Mm-hmm.
daily basis in a stress-free environment where everyone is informed and can operate without frustration.
Yes.
So, if you create systems, you will be encouraged to know that it will also free you up to do the things that you love about the job
Mm-hmm.
rather than weighing you down with all of the small tasks and all of the small fires that we have to put out, as the leader of the campus.
Yes. That is so valuable. As school
Yes.
leaders, when we have systems in place, it makes our job that much easier.
Yes.
And systems are developed with three things. I'm a 1, 2, 3 person as well.
Mhm, mhm.
Clarity,
Yes.
consistency, and teacher voice.
Mhm,
When we
mhm.
have clarity,
Yes.
when we have consistency, with teacher voice added into it, now we can have some systems in place. And as school leaders, when we have those systems in place, that leads to teacher retention, it leads to emotional safety, and it leads to the number one reason why we do what we do is student achievement.
That's so true.
Yes.
So true. So true. So I want us to talk about, you know, mistakes that may come up when um, people choose not to operate with systems. So I want to ask you to, what's one mistake leaders make without realizing it when it comes to systems? Now, the one that comes to mind for me is that leaders often are reactive in creating systems rather than being proactive. I talked a little bit earlier about thinking about what systems you need to put in place as a principal. It's so important for leaders to have principal think time or district administrator think time about the job that you are trying to perform.
Yes.
So if you spend some alone time with yourself and think about what are my goals as a leader? What is it that I need to do to help create a successful environment along the way? Then it gives you and your staff a goal and a target to achieve. And you're not just doing things blindly or shooting at moving targets when you are trying to achieve success. So that's my thoughts about one mistake as a leader that I've made, we've made, and I'm sure leaders make today is that we're reactive about a lot of things rather than thinking about it and being proactive before unwanted situations occur. What do you ladies think about that?
That is so good.
That's number one.
Yes, that's so good. You know, being reactive, you need to take a moment to pause.
Yes.
You know, I think another episode we talked about the pause.
We did.
You know, don't be reactive. Take a moment to pause and then react. So I love that. I think one mistake leaders make is assuming that because a process is clear to me or clear to the leader, that it is clear to everyone else.
Yes.
Right.
So true.
So the leader may know who to contact, what steps to follow, and how a decision will be made. But teachers may experience that same process in an inconsistent way. And I kind of talked about that a minute ago. You know, when teachers repeatedly have to ask, what am I supposed to do? Which I talked about a moment ago. Who is responsible for this? It creates frustration. Teachers are drained. Their energy is drained. And over time, that uncertainty can negatively, negatively impact the school culture. And as a result, teacher retention, right? So I would ask the question for this particular question, what does this look like in schools today? So what does the mistake I talked about of leaders assuming that everyone understands the process, what does this look like in schools today? So it often looks like support depending on which administrator is available. You have 3 deans, you have a head dean or a principal, whatever the schools call it. But support may depend on who is available. Policies being enforced differently for different classrooms. So that favoritism that we talked about. So is that a system? You know, at this point, I don't care if it is someone who I considered a friend before I became an administrator in that building. Maybe I was a teacher in that building. And now I'm the principal. So whatever system I have in place for teacher A, who may be on a professional development plan, is the same system I have to have for teacher B, who I've known for 15 years. And when teachers see that the systems are fair across the board, that leads to teacher retention. And I'm always talking from my lens, which is teacher retention. I know Chantinique and Casandra will talk from their lenses. But we see it when teachers ask for help with student behavior, but does not know whether anyone will respond. Or what will happen after the referral? Okay, I sent a student to the office.
Yes.
What will happen? We see it when teachers must rely on helpful colleagues, like we said before. These things may appear isolated, and frustrations may develop. But when inconsistency becomes the norm, teachers begin to feel unsupported, which we don't want, right? Yeah. So why do leaders overlook the issue of these systems not being in place? Leaders often overlook it because they are viewing the school from their leadership lens. And we always talk about on this podcast as school leaders, don't
Yes.
forget what it means to be a teacher,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Don't forget what it means to walk in those shoes.
Yes.
Because, God forbid, not God forbid, but one day you may have to walk back into those shoes.
That's right.
Schools are downsizing,
Yeah.
schools are closing.
That's so true.
Don't forget what it means to be a teacher.
Yes.
Leaders are managing so many different urgent things, but when systems are in place, the school will autopilot.
Yes.
This is the last thing I'm going to say, and then I'm going to give it to Chantinique. When I was a principal, I used to say, I want to walk into a classroom and not know where the teacher is, because the school is running so effortlessly. The classroom,
Right.
Students are working here, students are working there. The teacher is working with a small group. When I walk into a building, I don't want to know where the principal is.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Because the school has systems in place and it is on autopilot. If the administrator is absent for 3 days, it's okay, because the systems are in place and the school will run without a glitch.
That's right.
And that's all I have to say on that.
I love it. I love it.
Oh my gosh, so good.
Yeah,
Shout out to the comments. Somebody said that's good. Lead the teachers. Amen. Lead smart, not hard. Period. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And Mr. Echo said, and he's in my lens, because he said not allowing your staff member to achieve the goal that you trained them for. Because that's true.
Yeah.
It's several things.
It is.
It
is.
Being a teacher, I can just share a whole lot, and I know other teachers who may watch this say, "Oh, I got one." But going back to the email thing, because for me, I've noticed that the principals sometimes they will see what other schools are doing, and then or other teachers are doing, and then they instantly want to make everybody else in the school do it. And that causes a lot of friction. Who doing that? Why we gotta do that?
Right.
You're not thinking that it's going to cause that type of commotion, but it does.
It does.
Yeah.
That's just one. Like, allow one thing to play out, and then wait a semester, and then, or at least a quarter of the semester, and then if you need to make a quick change, do that. Or that could be a coaching opportunity.
Yes, absolutely.
What is wrong with that? Why we cannot do our job effectively like that? Why we got to talk about people in the group chat? We can't just coach people no more. We can't train people no more.
That's right.
Because a lot of the times you got a lot of teachers, new teachers, just being thrown into a classroom. I was one of them, and I had to figure out certain things. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I did have some help. Shout out to NHA. I had help.
Right.
I learned the structure, okay?
Yeah.
So how to put that in place in my classroom. And so as when I was a para, I learned certain things. And so when I got great at that, then the dean like, oh, you're gonna be a teacher. I'm like, and then here I am now.
Right.
That's right. That's right.
And now it's a consulting. So it's like, okay, all right, Lord, here I am. But that is a big thing to me. Like, allow things to play out first, because it's great to get ideas from other schools. It's great to get ideas from other teachers and what they're doing. But I think it's important to maybe those teachers that are doing great, make those teachers mentors to those who might need help. Again, less is best. You shouldn't have to do a school-wide initiative. If something is working, let it rest. Let it rest. Don't pick it up and, we can do something else. No, less is best. Let's simplify the system, because every time you go back and try to implement something new, you can't even tell what's happening, what's actually moving. How is the data moving? How are we tracking that?
Let's make sure one thing works before we go on to something else.
And you don't want to implement something just because somebody else is doing it. You don't know what they put in place to make sure it runs smoothly there.
Absolutely.
There's a totally different culture, totally different campus, totally different structure. So you have to make sure you're creating systems that fit for your building
For
and
your
for
school.
your school.
Mhm.
And that's so true that a lot of times principals see people doing things and they just want to jump on the bandwagon and do it as well. But you really have to think about it. You really have to spend that principal time thinking about how you need to carry out these things. That leads
And
me
Hold on
to,
before you go on. Miss Williams said, "I'm
oh, I'm
listening."
sorry.
Yep, I'm listening from a parent's perspective, and this is so helpful. Oh, Miss Williams, please
Awesome.
talk to all your parent friends.
Yes,
Please
yes,
tell them to
I
tune
know
in
that's
so they can
right.
hear what's really going on,
Mhm.
yes,
on
yes,
this level, because parents don't know. All you
yes.
guys see is what's on social media. But if we were
Right.
able to have a social media account as a teacher,
Yes,
you will
yes,
Right.
not teach no more, okay? Because you
yes,
would
yes,
see all the things
yes.
that we're saying, talking about.
Mhm.
You'd be like, oh my gosh. I mean, our parents do say, oh my goodness, I can't be a teacher. But if you've seen
Right.
what we do, and also after
Mhm.
3 o'clock, school's
Yeah,
not out for us. We having meetings.
exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
Miss Williams said you don't know the backstory to that. We had to talk to you later offline, Miss Williams, find out what the
Yes.
backstory is.
I know, absolutely. Because there are so many, that's a whole nother dynamic as it
Yes.
relates to the parents' perspective
Mhm.
and how they understand school systems. Again, we have to make it clear for parents as well. And
Yeah.
parents know when a school is in chaos and disarray, parents know it. They feel
Oh,
it. You
Oh, they
might
know
not
it.
say it to them blatantly, but they experience the campus that you create every day.
yes.
So
Okay.
Mhm.
making sure that parents are informed and clear about your school systems is just as important as making sure it's clear in the campus. So there's so many layers to our leadership. There's so many things that we have to make sure are in place. We can't even afford not to operate without systems because it's too much. It's too much
Yes.
to keep up with.
Yes.
But
Yes.
if there's a system that everybody is clearly aware of, then that makes it all the more easy for everyone to follow. So that leads us to our principal move for the week,
All right.
and that is encouraging our principals and our district leaders to create a one-page systems map where you create a one pager where you get to put your thoughts down on systems that you feel you should put in place on in your district or on your campus. You pick one occurring issue that you're being asked about all the time, or one occurring problem that keeps showing up on the campus that needs to be solved or addressed. You write down what that trigger is. What is this? What is it causing us? So for example, if you have walked your campus and you've observed that instruction is not starting immediately when the bell rings, and you've walked your campus 2 or 3 times this month, and you see that instruction has not taken place as soon as the bell rings, then as the school leader, that should be a concern. And so that should have a system. You should put a system in place to ensure, for example, you write each step down. So
Mhm.
a first step for me would be that teachers are standing by the door receiving children rather than sitting at the desk or looking on the computer or writing something on the board. When you are in place to receive your students in your classroom on time, then that eliminates a lot of the um, lag time, the playing, the not being focused.
Mhm.
A step two for me would be making sure there's a do now on the board when the students walk in so they can sit down and get right to the work of the day. They can prepare their minds for the instruction they are about to receive. And they don't have time to play and linger and not focus on the learning. And then a step three would be that the teacher already has these things in place. so that when that bell rings, she goes right into the classroom and she starts with the do now. She's walking around, making sure that students are actually working on the do now at that time. And when that first few minutes is up, she's up at the board discussing it with the students. 3 steps, 3 simple steps. You write it down on a one pager and then you name who's the owner of this. Who is it that I need on the campus to carry out these steps? Well, in this case, it will be all of your instructional staff. Everybody that's teaching should be teaching within the first 15 minutes of class. And then you post it. You make sure the masses are aware. You send an email. You put it in the campus newsletter. You talk about it at the faculty meeting because you want this expectation to follow through and be fluid throughout the campus. You don't just do it one time, as we talked about earlier, like Dr. Angela said, 21 times, if necessary. Even if you have to do individual support, they have to see that it's important to you so that they can carry it out. When they see it's important to you, it will become important to them. And the other thing is assess what you're doing. Sometimes when you are creating a system, it's not good to create it school-wide in the beginning. You might want to do a sampling. You might want to take a first-year teacher and a veteran teacher and run that system by them and say, let's pilot this for a few weeks. This is something I'm thinking about sharing with the staff, but I don't want to put it out there unless it's necessary. So I need feedback from the two of you about how you think this system will work. Let's try it. And then once you get your data, if that first year teacher can follow those steps without provocation, then you have yourself a system. But if that veteran teacher comes back and there are several different questions or things that they're not clear about, then that means you need to tweak it. You need to either tweak it or abandon it and create another one.
Yes, that part.
Absolutely. Anybody has anything to say about that?
That's good. Tweak or abandon. I love it. And if the new teacher can take it and run with it, then you know it's a good system. Yes. And if your seasoned teacher is like, oh, I have some problems, you know it's a problem with it.
Absolutely.
So I love that scenario, Casandra. I think that leading with systems means turning the leader's values into shared and repeatable practices. Is it something that we can share? Is it repeatable?
Absolutely.
And it's important for retention because teachers do not stay simply because they have a caring principle. They stay because care is built into the culture. Culture of the school. And then one last thing, leading with yourself makes you indispensable. Leading with systems makes support dependable. And that leads to teacher retention.
Yes, it does. It does. They will want to stay.
They will.
If they're clear about what's supposed to happen. Yeah. So the reflection question for today. We want you to think about, as the building leader or the district leader, where in my building am I the system? Where in my building is everybody depending on me for the answers? And what would happen to that process on the very day that I'm not at school or I'm not in the district? I'm going to pause a minute and let's think about that. Where in my building am I the system? And what will happen on the very day that I'm not there to carry it out? As the leader, think about those things. And that's the place where you need to start creating systems. All right. So our takeaways for today is personal presence is powerful. Anytime the leader is in place and ready to perform, that's powerful, but it's not sustainable. Systems is what lets your best thinking outlive your busiest day or a day when you're absent. If the system is in place, then everyone knows what to do. Okay. So, with that being said, if there's nothing else to share, ladies, next time on the collaborative lens, we will continue to talk about systems. We'll delve deeper into how systems are created and why we need systems in order to lead schools with precision. If this conversation gave you one thing that you can use immediately, please follow the collaborative lens um, on our favorite podcast app or all of our on our YouTube video. You can see this immediately followed on YouTube as well. I'm going to let the other lens close out and then I'll come with a closing statement.
Okay, thank you, Cassandra. This was amazing. Good information, rich. I love your question. What would happen if you're not there?
Awesome.
Will your school function or will it fall apart? I'm Dr. Angela Taylor Echols. I'm founder of ATE, Educational Consulting. We solve the problem of rapid teacher resignations by providing school leaders with strategies to keep their teachers in the field.
Yes. Thank you again for this powerful conversation. As a teacher, I will tell every principal, whatever you do, please practice the principal move that she provided today. Okay, because truth be told, y'all need to cash app her for that strategy. Okay. Listen, test the process. Whatever you do this first part of the school year, test the process. I'm telling you, it's repeatable. It's specific, is measurable, is achievable, is realistic. Okay, use that. If there's an emergency, go back to that principal move. Okay, so again, I am Chantinique Langston. I'm the founder of Reach Teach Consulting, and I specialize in leadership wellness and human-centered leadership. Thank you so much. Cassandra, go ahead.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for sharing and staying with us this evening. I am Casandra H. Jenkins. I'm founder of Little Comes Much Consulting, where we help principals create systems that lead to schools of precision and success. This has been the collaborative lens, where systems meet strategy and leadership becomes something every school can count on. Until next time, we want you to lead on purpose.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.